Okay, I've played this AOL digital camera enough. And let's do a tour of the software. So when you start it up, it starts up relatively quickly. When you take a picture, it shows up on the screen. Like every other digital camera, even the modern day ones. Now that did not screen a little bit, anyway. Okay, is it good? So let's start to take a tour of the software. First of all the manual controls have to be done in the main menu, and they're lost every time you turn the camera off, unfortunately. But this is to be expected because once again this was made for the average Joe, aka your grandma. It's just a promotional camera. When you go into compensation, you can make the usual changes up to 1.8. Up to 1.8, down to 1.8. I like that at plus minus 0. I like that in the middle. They have white balance. You can set this to whatever you need. So yeah. This is how you play your pictures. I do not have any on this camera, so I can't do that. If you have a compact, this in the transfer menu, you would actually, this is actually how you transfer your pictures to a compact flash card. But I don't have one here, so I can't really show that off. Auto off is when how long you set the camera turn plus minus off. Menu, this is how you set your camera quality. That's how you'd format your memory. Do not do this unless you want to lose your pictures or you intend to wipe the camera. This is where your time and date is stored. Whenever you take the batteries out, this tends to get lost, so have the date and time ready if you intend to do this. I gotta set the time. And then you'd exit the menu. Now that the tour of the menu's done, let's take a look at the controls on this camera, shall we? Now normal is normal distance subject, obviously. Distant would be if you're like taking a picture of mountains or something back in the day. Or something simple like that. But most of the time these are left on normal. As of mine, I got mine set on normal, so that should say something. However, if the previous person who owned the camera was taking pictures of mountains or something, they would have it set to distant. Now, let's get some pictures. This sounds like a show off the play menu system. Okay, now that's saved. Now let's take a look at some of these menu options. There we got two pictures of TV, and it finally processed them. So I've already got some pictures I've took on this camera ahead of time. This is so I can show you some of the other features. If you press the info button, you could get info on the pictures on the camera. That would mean you're in review mode. That's your battery indicator. And this is the time and date you took the picture. Once again, same situation, only that's the third picture. And this is the first picture I took. Now, what are some other functions? Just, when you press the album button, you can actually, let's say, get this view, and press that again will allow you to do that. And then when you're in the display mode, or you're doing this, you can simply turn off the viewfinder and take pictures through the viewfinder, and take pictures, and the LCD screen will go, and the LCD screen will not be on. If you shoot through the viewfinder, this is an excellent way to save your batteries. And then pressing that on and off turns it on and off, obviously. Obviously, it doesn't work when you're in review mode because you need the LCD screen for that. Okay, enough of the software. Let's take a look at the hardware. In here, this is where your under this cover is where your 4 AA batteries would go. I personally wouldn't recommend getting Goodwill's batteries. Those died in a few hours on this camera, but at least some time to talk about it. This is where you'd adjust the controls. Like, this is the brightness control for the LCD screen, as you've seen before when I was on those contrast issues before. So I had to go ahead and dim that using that. And here's where your compact flash card would go. This camera takes up to a 256 megabyte card. It can't take any more. If you put any more, you get a code 4. I've tried it with a 1 gigabyte card I've had laying around for some time. Now when you get in here, these are your things. This is your USB data connection, so you hook up to your computer. This is your serial connection. This is not your television connection. This will not work for a television connection. I've tried it. This camera does take DC 6 volt. It takes DC 6 volt in, I imagine, 500 milliamp or something. I won't use it. I'd recommend finding a manual to plug for this. This is how you connect this camera to your television, though I still have to figure out how to do that. But I'd imagine if you had the manual back in the day and you could read it, you could probably hook this up to your television. Or assume that I don't have any of the cables for this camera, so that could be my issue. In fact, that's what I'm betting my issue is. Okay, now onto the front. This has an f4 5mm macro lens. This is a fixed focus lens. I imagine AOL did this to save some money, hence the normal and distance switch. This is your viewfinder. Now, that's how your viewfinder works, actually, right there. It's a few layers of glass, and it comes out to that. If you look through it this way, everything comes out small. You'll just blind yourself. They're probably going to need to put, and that's probably why they have to put warning label and put disclaimers in the manual saying, "Don't shoot your camera through the front like this," because this is what will happen. Imagine you're the photographer. I don't think that would be too fun. That would probably blind you for a few minutes, and then you'd get hit, trip, and unfall on something. So, use your common sense and shoot with it this way. Don't shoot with it that way unless you want to get blind for 5 minutes. This is your rubber grip on the body. Now, I do know this camera was actually made by Pre-Tech. This is actually a Pre-Tech DC620 with America Online stamped on it, basically. So AOL did not make this camera as I've expected. I suspect it's some Chinese brand or something, and I don't know much about Pre-Tech, but I know the guy out of the camera business some time ago, so I'm pretty sure this was a Chinese brand back in its day. Okay, so I've talked about this camera a little bit. or at least what I know. But I do feel I know enough about this camera that I was able to discuss it in fairly good detail and give a tour of the software and everything. In another video, I might go ahead and disassemble this, or not. I'm not doing it, never mind. But I will not disassemble this camera. That's the only reason I found out, is because I put some bad batteries in it. They popped and the camera went crazy, and I had to check for damage. I had to check if any components blown this. So that's why I found out Pre-Tech made this camera. I'm not going to take it apart a second time. But it has Pre-Tech chips in it. So that's why I know this is a Pre-Tech camera, plus some information Googling the model number, which is DC620. But this is an older camera. It's not that good. But for its age, maybe somewhere I wouldn't bring a new camera. But as something to have around and to play with older cameras, I'd get this camera. I don't mind. I would not care at all. That's the reason I got this, to see what it was like to use an early digital camera. It's pretty cool to actually be able to own one of these. In fact, I really like this camera. I'm going to go back to Goodwill and find some more of these things. In fact, I probably will find a lot more. And as I see them, I'll be buying them to play with some older digital cameras, as long as they're not too expensive. But that's the end of this video. Hopefully you liked the video.